Hello and welcome to my channel. So you'll find a lot of videos on YouTube about builds using the Antec Torque PC case like I have here. Now it's a really nice case, but it is a completely open chassis, so dust can get in everywhere. And a lot of people online are worried about how dirty it's going to get after some use. So I've had a subscriber ask me to do a video on how dirty it is and how actually to go about cleaning the Antec Torque PC case after a few months of use. Now, the last time I cleaned this case was about 6 months ago, and I've been using it every day since then. So what I'm going to do today is go through the case as it is now to show you where exactly dust builds up. And then afterwards, we're going to clean it, see how long it takes, see how easy or difficult it is. And that way you can decide if you want to put up with that in order to have such a stunning PC in your house. So let's get going. So on the front here is a bit of dust around the outside of this black piece. The top is relatively clean. There's some slight dust here, but like not as much dust as you would expect on the top of any PC case. So that's fine. And you can just about make out the little specks of dust on the corner there. Okay, so I'm just using a torch on my phone to illuminate the inside of the case, and you can see there's just a bit of dust on top of the power supply. If you look at the GPU, you can see some dust in the grill at the back. But again, I think that's pretty normal for any case and nothing special here. Now, my CPU cooler has a little fan on it to cool the VRMs, and you can see that quite a bit of dust has accumulated on top of that fan, also on top of the what do you call that thing? The water block. Anyway, first things first, let's go get all of the external panels off and check out properly what the state of the inside is like. We'll start with the top panel. As you can see, these are all just finger tight. Like I don't use any tools to torque these bolts. You'll see some decorations which my wife has kindly applied. I'll remove them now. This one's mine, by the way. So under the top panel you will see a little bit of dust, but that's just settled dust that you will find on the top of any PC case. So there's nothing special there. Let's remove the other panels. Let's start with the front panel. Now for this you will need a screwdriver. This is an awesome kit that I bought on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description below in case you want one of your own. But it's got all of the bits that you would need for most kinds of electronics work. Now to get this front panel off, you only need to remove one screw, and that's the one down here. And once that's off, the front panel just pulls away. So here you can see there's a bit of dust on the inside. So I mean, obviously it needs to be cleaned, but it's not too much. It's not too bad. Now, under the front panel is where you might notice something a little bit different. This is a piece of stainless steel wire mesh, which I cut and put here to act as a kind of an air filter. And you can see it has captured quite a lot of dust. So I won't clean it yet. Let me take the rest of the case apart first, and then we'll revisit what that is for. So next we remove the glass panels, and I start by removing the bottom two screws first. Again, these are just finger tight. Now when removing the top one, you want to push against the glass a bit to stop it falling off as soon as you remove the bolt. So, then you can just lift it out. and we will do exactly the same for the other side. Now you'll want to put these somewhere safe. I've just put them on my sofa with all the pillows. So already the Antec Torque is looking quite bare. Now at this point, I just want to talk briefly about how I've run the wires in this case, because I've been asked that question as well on my channel. So the wires from the PSU sort of go behind this panel and then comes out through these holes, and I've kind of routed one set, so the 24 pin goes up like that and around, and it goes into here, and this comes out on the other side. These wires here are for the GPU, and those I run behind this this white panel, so they're kind of hidden away there as well. So not too bad actually. Let's get this white panel off next. Again guys, I'm not using any tools here, everything is just finger tight. And now you can see exactly what I was talking about with respect to the wires. You just run them behind the white shield and they'll disappear. So as I mentioned before, these that's the 24 pin, and these are the GPU. Sorry, what am I saying? That's actually the auxiliary, the the ATX power that goes to the top of the motherboard. The GPU, it just runs inside actually. But that's how the wires look. And of course we just do the same on the other side. I've tried this for a long time, I found the last panels on it well. And yeah, it could be nice, but when I eventually put them on, you can go back to look so much. Okay, so that's really as much as we need to take off. We can see everything inside here now, and I can point out to you where the dust is. So first things first, at the bottom of the case there's a layer of dust, right? So you probably wouldn't get that if this was a closed chassis. And yep, you can definitely see the dust that's on top of the power supply housing. Now, I'm sure you guys know about the little problem that these RTX 3090s have with the overheating VRAM on the back. So I've put a bunch of heat sinks there, and I've put an extra fan as well to keep it cool. When you play games that use heavy what do you call it, ray tracing, yeah, the VRAM temperatures spike up over 100 degrees and the fan just spin up, and I don't really want my GPU going through that kind of stress. So I've got these little heat sinks off eBay. If anybody's interested, I'll put the links to that down in the description as well. And there's also there's a layer of thermally conductive stuff between the GPU and the pads. Anyway, we're here for dust. So yeah, this fan has been going. I've been playing games for about 6 months, and yeah, there is a bit of dust there. I think that will definitely need cleaning out. The GPU fan itself is a bit dusty. Let me just get a better angle. Yeah, so you can definitely see there that the blades of the GPU fan is dusty. There's also quite a bit of dust on the fins of the GPU as well. Even this, on the top of this little stud here. Again, I'm going to point out the small VRM fan on the water block. That's actually quite dusty. Not happy with that at all. So mainly, you're having an accumulation of dust where you have any forced airflow. So on the fan there, on the fan here, and on the fan there. Let me try to have a look at the bottom fan as well. I think I'm gonna need some EOL light again. And I would say there isn't as much dust on this one, but still there is a bit of dust. Oh, and there's one more fan down in there. For those of you who have motherboard fans, and that one looks pretty clean. It probably doesn't come on as often. Right, so I'd like to show you what I've done to the front of this PC case. Now, in an attempt to reduce the amount of dust coming in, I've put 3 of these, focus, yeah, 3 of these 120mm fans at the front, and those fans are behind that stainless steel mesh I showed you earlier. So I was hoping that perhaps this would pull air in from the front of the PC, filter it a bit before throwing it onto the internal components. Now, those fans are also quite dirty, as you can see. Even worse are the fans on the top. Now, these fans are the ones on my 360mm radiator, and these are spinning all of the time that the PC is on. So whereas the GPU fan only comes on if the GPU is hot, these are spinning at low RPM, but they're spinning all the time, and you can see there's quite a lot of dust accumulated there. Actually, now that I've changed the position of the light, you can see dust kind of like everywhere. So there's a thin layer of dust and everything, really. But that's bad. Okay, so I've moved the light a teensy bit as well, so now you can really see the dust. Now, look, I'm really trying to show you as best as possible the dust here. You won't normally see this with just normal room lighting, okay? But yeah, that's how it looks. If you look through the fan, you can see that the radiator has also acquired a bit of dust. Alright, so this is just showing you the thin layer of dust that is pretty much on everything. It's on the fan, it's on the back panel, it's on the floor. It's pretty much everywhere. Except on the cables. It's not on the cables for some reason. The cables are nice and clean. Okay, so you've seen the dust, and now we're going to do some actual cleaning. And what I'm going to do first is just clean my makeshift filter at the front here using a vacuum cleaner. In fact, you know something? I'm going to vacuum down like all of the exposed parts. So I just wanted to show you that there's some places I can't actually get to. Like in there where there's a really sharp corner, I can't really get into there very well. And it's kind of the same on the other side as well. I just don't have a brush small enough to get in there, so I can't really clean that dust at all. Also, I'd like to show you that I'd really like to get the dust out from in there, but in order to do that, I'll have to take another panel off, which is this one here. So let's get this panel off. First, I need to remove my GPU cables. And these should also be finger tight. Yep, they are. Oh. Okay, so these are actually quite tight. They require a tool. Be right back. Okay guys, I've got the tool. Now this actually came with the PC case, so this is not something you have to try to buy separately. And these are a bit shorter, so I'm going to keep these separate so I don't mix them up. And that's the side panel off. Right, so now that that's out of the way, I'm just going to use my vacuum cleaner to clean up the inside here. I can tell you it's much easier to do without all this camera equipment in the way. Okay, so that's taking care of that. That's pretty good now. But what I'm noticing is these fans at the front here are super filthy. I really have not seen them this filthy before. If I try to get some light on them. The only way to clean those is going to be to take them out and pretty much wipe them down, because no amount of vacuum cleaning is going to remove dust that has been, I don't want to say baked on, but it's really on there well. Also, there are a lot of places I just can't get to, like in between that gap there, I can't get to. In between that gap there, I can't get to. Like on this side of the power supply, for example, I can't get to because the panel on this side is one huge panel. I can't just take out a piece of it to get access. So it's all still dirty in there. So I'm really going to have to take my time, use my smallest brush I have, and try to get in there to get as much of that dust out as I possibly can. Okay, so that still isn't really working that well. What I'm going to try to do is get a little small paintbrush and use that to brush the dust off from the small parts, and then have the vacuum cleaner nozzle next to it, and hopefully that'll catch most of it. Okay, so the paintbrush and vacuum cleaner technique is definitely a lot better, but I can clean everything effectively except for the fans. I kind of need 3 hands. I need one hand to hold the vacuum cleaner, I need one hand for the paintbrush, and I need one hand to hold the blades still while I brush them. Otherwise, they just rotate. Okay, so what I've been doing is I've been using the brush, right, and I've been just holding the fan blades with one hand and brushing them with the other, and it's getting quite a lot of dust off, and then afterwards I just vacuum up all the stuff that fell. But I've done as much as I could on this side, so I need to take my filter off and clean the fans on the other side as well. Yeah, that's not coming off. That is very dirty. I wonder if this mesh was doing anything at all. I mean, obviously it's doing something because the mesh itself was pretty dirty, but not enough. I don't think I'll put it back, to be honest. Okay, so that's not actually too bad. That's pretty clean. There's a lot of muck on the table, but the fans are all right. Right now, to get the ones up here on the radiator, I think I'm going to have to put the whole PC on its side. I found that putting the PC down on a cardboard box actually is a really good way to do it, because it takes the strain off. It doesn't put any strain on any critical part, and it balances there nicely. So that's allowed me to get access to the fans, yeah. And I've now vacuumed out those from both sides, and I've used my wet rag. It's got them nice and clean. Now I'm in the process of doing the top 360 radiator. So, light isn't very good. Let me see if I can... Yeah, so you can see I've taken one fan off and I'm in the process of wiping that down. And I'm now taking the other fans off. Now, sadly, look, you still have to take off all the fans, right? There's no way around that. But I think now there's an end in sight because I've got the front fans clean. I've got the GPU fans clean. And as soon as I have these fans out and clean the radiator, then that's going to be pretty much it. So let's see how that goes. And clean behind them. This is a lot of work. But the lighting seems to be okay, so I'll carry on. Okay, so here's the thing. I got the fans out. They're here. And that's the radiator to expose so that I can clean it now. Oh, now I've already cleaned the first fan space. So just have a look at the second and third ones. That's the kind of dirt pattern you're going to get on it. It is pretty filthy, but you know, once you have the fans off, it's really easy to vacuum up. There we go. Have a look at that. So that's nice and clean. I haven't damaged any of the radiator fins, so that's great. So now to work on these fans, I'll get most of the dust off. First of all with the vacuum. But once that's done, you really can't get away from using a wet rag to really very carefully get the dust off. It's the only way. This dust ends up being caked on. It's really tough to get off. You do need to try to be a bit gentle. You don't want to break any of the fan blades or damage the bearings or anything. I have to say, cleaning and filming at the same time takes up so much more time than just cleaning alone. So I'm pretty sure I could have had this all done in a few hours rather than taking the entire day like I've done. You know, you've got lights moving around, cameras moving around, tripods moving around, checking the focus, all that. It takes quite a lot of time. There we go. What a difference already. That is fantastic. I think I'm happy with that. And I'm just using water here, by the way. I'm not using any kind of cleaning product. Just water. Okay, I think I might be a bit OCD now, going too far. This is clean enough. That's almost like new. So I'll do the other one and then put them back in. Ugh. Okay, now have a look at this fan here. All I've done with this is use a vacuum cleaner. Now this is what I would call socially clean, in that this is clean enough for something that you're using every day, something that will get dusty again. You don't have to use a wet rag and get it this clean. This is probably a bit much. I mean, depending how much you like your PC, right? You can take the extra time and use a wet rag. But honestly, this is good enough because this is going to get dusty again. Okay, guys, so I've got all the fans clean now. 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fans, really nice and spotless. And now I'm going to stick them back onto the radiator, which I've already vacuumed out. Okay, so the radiator fans are finished. They're all clean and back in. The front fans are all clean and back in. The GPU fan is nice and clean. And the rest of the board is nice and clean, including this fan here. Yep, so I think that's pretty much been a success. Fan's definitely the hardest part. Okay, so that was more or less a success. What I'm doing now is just being really picky and getting rid of every last bit of dust in every nook and cranny that I can see. Huh. Not bad. Okay, so here's the final result. Fans clean, motherboard clean, GPU clean, front fans clean, base clean, front fans all nice and clean. All of the little spots that I couldn't reach earlier are clean, more or less. Wait. Now they're clean. Backside nice and clean. Focus. There we go. Backside nice and clean. Awesome. Now just to put the front and the glass sides back on. Now these pieces of glass don't generally need much cleaning because they're vertical. They don't really get much dust, so I think this wet cloth will be more than enough. And remember to have something dry afterwards, otherwise streaks will remain. I mean, this is just glass, right? So use whatever you normally use to clean glass. I think that looks great. Of course, these are all hand tightened. You don't need to use any. No, it's fine on this. Okay, so no kidding, that took the whole day. It takes much longer to do this while filming, maybe about 4 times as long, because I have to move the camera, move the lights, make sure things are in focus, make sure it's bright enough for you to see what's going on. So that wouldn't have taken me any longer than half a day, to be honest. And I've done a thorough clean, as you can see. Everything is wiped down. You know, it's not like new, but it's nearly new. So I hope that gives you an idea of what kind of time you have to put into maintaining something like this. I think the result is still worth it. It looks like, you know, it's an amazing looking case. It works really well. And yeah, if this is your toy, if this is your hobby, then you shouldn't really mind spending half a day keeping it looking like this. I mean, if you had a car, you have to wash your car pretty much every week. I mean, if you really like your car, you know, you've got to polish it, you've got to do your tires, you've got to clean the inside. It takes a lot longer than half a day. So look, if this is your thing, go for it. If it's not your thing, you don't have time to you know, to clean your PC. If you just need to have this PC working, maybe you need it for your job, then maybe this isn't the case for you. But this is a statement PC. It's a showcase PC, and if you put a little bit of time into it, you're gonna be proud. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this helped you a little bit. Like and subscribe, it really helps. I know everyone says that, but you know, I have a small channel, so any little bit helps. Oh, I'm also a photographer. That's one of my pictures. If you like that, I'll have a link in the description to that and others that I've done as well. And yeah, great, man. I'll see you next time. Cheers.